Joining me is Rowan Dean, Editor-in-Chief of The Spectator Australia, host of Outsiders every Sunday at 9 a.m. and host of his own show on Fridays at 7 p.m. Rowan, let me just pass it on. You must stop encouraging Pauline Hanson. You are just helping Anthony Albanese, okay?
Exactly. I always enjoy reading Paul Kelly. I often get an unintentional, perhaps unintentional, laugh or smile out of it, and I wonder if I'm one of the ones he's talking about. But this time, this column this morning, which I kind of read with a sense of dread and a sinking feeling, he describes basically conservatives or the wish for the Australian population to have a conservative government as some kind of collective madness, I think is his term. And regardless of Paul Kelly's analysis, which I'm sure is accurate and correct, the conclusion which he should have made but didn't make, but the inevitable conclusion from his column, is that our democracy, the Australian compulsory preferential voting system with no methods of recalling a government, does not work. Now, that is far scarier. That's a much scarier column to write than, oh, if you vote this way or that way, you're going to get this or not get that. Because what Paul Kelly is saying is that no matter how many people decide that one nation's policies appeal to them, and by the way, Paul Kelly says one nation has no policies. You disproved that yesterday with Pauline Hanson, trotted out a raft of policies to do with slashing the NDIS, slashing government spending, slashing immigration, a lot of things that need to be done. They are policies. But what Paul Kelly is saying is that you can't have that we, the Australian electorate, can't have those policies. We are stuck with a choice between Labor and Liberal, or Labor and Coalition, and that's it. Lump it, folks, because that's all you've got. That's the only conclusion to be drawn. And I'm sure Paul Kelly is correct. Maybe that's all we do have. We are lumped with a system where you get a uni party. You get 3 years of this party and 3 years of that party, regardless of the wishes of the electorate. Now, that means our system does not work. And a democratic system that does not deliver what the populace, the demos, wants is a failed system which will ultimately collapse under its own weight. And that is the real danger of what Paul Kelly wrote today. And I would say to you, Andrew, that the policies that One Nation are putting forward, I would argue probably more or less have the same majority, the 60-40 majority that we saw during The Voice, the same majority that we saw in polls for things like Australia Day, the same majority we see on what people are prepared to pay for net zero, the same polls we see people are worried about immigration, worried about cost of living and so on. Basically, there is a 60-40 majority. I've been saying this for years in this country. It is the voice majority. Now, if our political system, the algorithm, if you like, of our proportional voting system cannot deliver to the people of Australia the government that they want, then we are in real trouble. Now, we saw it at the last election. Albanese, 2/3 of the population of Australia voted against Anthony Albanese's government, yet we are saddled with a massive majority for Labor in Parliament. Already we know there's a problem with the system. Paul Kelly is saying the system does not work.
Look, is it correct in saying that this One Nation juggernaut is going to destroy the Liberals as currently presenting themselves? It is. It's true. Pauline Hanson says she's going to, she's going after Labor. She's in fact going to destroy the Liberals and Nationals under current policy settings and leadership settings. That is absolutely true. But I'm just wondering what we're supposed to do as Conservatives who actually have been arguing for some of the things that Pauline Hanson is arguing for now, or has before. Are we supposed to ignore the fact that 1 in 4 Australians are suddenly saying they want Hanson? Are we supposed to deplore that they would even think of doing this? I don't understand it. I mean, ignoring Hanson doesn't work. And the Liberals, just trying to attack her doesn't work. Criticising her for 30 years doesn't work. I mean, she now seems a strong woman with convictions. So what should the Liberals do instead? Shouldn't it be, how about offering the people that like her better policies and a promise to actually deliver them?
Well, we've been saying this since Tony Abbott was destroyed by Malcolm Turnbull. There's been a rot within the Liberal Party which they don't seem prepared to confront, and it goes through the lobbyists in New South Wales and all sorts of areas. But the bottom line is there is another truth hidden deep within Paul Kelly's article, which I'm sure he would be terrified to own up to as the truth, and that is that we need the Australian public, if they want to get rid of the Labor Party, have to vote a massive majority for One Nation, because the Liberals and the Nationals can't do it. That's the truth hidden deep within Paul Kelly's article, that unless we see a massive amount of people saying, you know what, okay, she's been in there 30 years, I didn't like her to begin with, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, but you've got to give her the consistency, and she is talking about the things that matter to 2/3 of the Australian population. Unless that 2/3 of the Australian population are prepared to go, okay, now I'm going to go for One Nation this time, I'm going to see what happens. Unless that happens, we're going to be stuck with another Labor government. So the bottom line, and it's quite a compelling argument that if I were in One Nation, I would be putting forward very strongly, is that One Nation, needs a massive majority, and people who want to see conservative policies in this country better start thinking about that, and the Liberals and the Nationals better start thinking about that as well.
Well, I actually think that One Nation's more doable target is to simply have a big blocking vote in the Senate, and they will certainly have more senators than the National Party. I'd be intrigued to know if this bubble continues, and I'm not saying it will, I don't know, I suspect not, but if it does, they will have a big say in the Senate, and they could really put a stick in the spokes there. Rowan Dean, thank you so much indeed for your time.